welcome to the Property Show. I'm Jayashree Kurup. I'm editor MBTV. Today we're talking about the RBI allows one-time restructuring. How will this impact the real estate sector? I have a really good panel sitting here. Mr. Satish Magar, he's the national president of CREDAI. T.K. Arun is the consulting editor of the Economic Times. Rajkumar Bansal, MD and CEO, Edelweiss Asset Reconstruction Company. And Mr. Dio Shankar Tripathi, he's the MD and CEO of Aadhar Housing Finance. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's start by putting the whole issue in perspective. Restructuring of debt is something that the real estate industry has been asking for a while. This time it has been across industries. It has also been extended to all kinds of loans, even consumers can avail of it. Now, how does this impact the real estate sector? Mr. Bansal, would you like to, Arun, would you like to set the tone?
I think the real estate sector representative, Mr. Magar, or Mr. Bansal should be a better place to open with.
Mr. Bansal, would you like to set the conversation?
Yeah, Mr. Magar has joined, I think.
Yeah, I've joined. Sorry, there's some problem with the internet, so now I've come back.
So it's always a pleasure having you here. Mr. Magar, then set the tone for the real estate discussion. Restructuring of debt is something that you have been asking for a while. This is a response to the COVID-related problems that the industry is facing. How do you think this will pan out?
See, what has come now is, I think, post-COVID. That is what they are speaking. So whatever has happened after 20th of March, any problem comes, case-to-case basis, they will go in for restructuring. But we have been speaking about restructuring for a longer period of time. See, we should understand what has happened in the real estate industry over the past couple of years. You know, there were certain issues which came up. There were structural changes which came up, and the sentiment of the market was also not so conducive. So there have been problems. So we have been always talking to the finance ministry, to the RBI, all those projects which are cash flow positive. If somebody's created a fraud, you don't do anything to him. You please look at this as a one-time restructuring. We are not asking for the waiver of interest. We are not asking for any waivers. They are only asking for time. So in this, what will happen is all those flat owners who have booked flats, the financial institutions who have got money stuck into that will come out first. So once that comes out, then whatever remains, the developer will get. So this is what is required to be done to kickstart that industry, which has gone into these, loggerheads. So yes, whatever has come in this last one, but they're talking only of the COVID period. They're saying just step back a little bit. And unless and until you step back and get these things done properly, it will not be good for the industry. So it is a requirement. See, everywhere it happens. There have been bad times. People who have done bad, don't save them. But where there is a third-party interest created, where people have booked flats, the bank's money is stuck. So just to create a win-win situation, give us more time. We don't want waiver in interest also. We'll pay the interest also, but just give us the time. This is what the industry is asking for.
Mr. Bansal, what is the implication of this kind of waiver? The industry has been asking for it for a while. It is an industry that has been under stress for the last 5 years or so. What is the impact of that on the finance sector?
See, as of now, we have gone through the moratorium phase. So basically, the choice was whether we continue with the moratorium, but that I think from credit behavior perspective, it is not very right, because in that case, even sometimes people who can pay, they will not pay. And that is not applicable only to real estate, I am saying, because the restructuring guidelines are general. In fact, this time they have covered even personal loans in so much detail that they have never done. RBI has never seen the circular talking of personal loan in such details. Because that means that personal loan mainly includes basically housing loans and maybe some auto loan segment. So the point is that, as Mr. Magar said, real estate sector has been going through the stress actually. So this circular, this restructuring guidelines talks of only actually standard cases which were standard as on 1st March, and that too only SMA 0. That means not more than 30 days default. So unfortunately, many cases which were facing cash flow stress may not get covered in this circular. But I would feel that from moratorium perspective, instead of moratorium, it is better to have a restructuring scheme whereby the banks and financial institutions can decide, okay, this case deserves restructuring, so they will give it. While in moratorium, it becomes a blanket type. So I would say this is a good thing, but it takes care of only a small percentage. I think the most of the real estate projects have been under stress. There were a number of them actually. It doesn't get covered fully.
Absolutely. Arun, you want to add something here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to a large proportion of the credit availed by real estate companies comes from small NBFCs or individual loans, etc. How can these be restructured? Large banks can restructure. Some of the largest NBFCs also can absorb on their own the financial impact of restructuring loans given to the real estate sector. They will need to be backed by the RBI or by the banking system to bear the burden of the restructure. Now, has that been fully thought through? I don't know. Of course, the RBI has opened some special windows for NBFCs and housing finance companies, but they don't really seem to be all that large enough. And my larger concern is also the pace at which these things are moving. It was in September, almost a year ago, that this 25,000 crore fund was announced by the finance minister. Out of that, hardly 10,000 crore has been sort of utilized for restructuring. So given the fact that nearly 11 lakh crore worth of real estate is stuck in different parts of the country, is this enough, or do we need to think of something more drastic? These are some concerns which I would like the panelists to address.
Mr. Tripathi, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I think what Mr. Satish has flagged, the real estate sector was in stress not from today, but from last about, now if not 5 years, at least for 3 years, ever since the ILFS crisis happened. And the major funding was coming to them from NBFC, HFC, which Mr. Arun has just flagged. And when their own liquidity line was choked, they could not fund. And that has made many projects short of liquidity. And that's the reason what 4.5 or 4 lakhs housing units were launched. After that, they became stuck. And that's the reason the real estate body has always been requesting from the Reserve Bank of India and the government to give a long window and some funding options. So now what government has come, government, as Mr. Arun mentioned, 25,000 crore rupees Swami fund they brought to support all the projects which were stuck up at different stages. That was the one point, but the NPA status remained the same. The whole issue what the real estate body was requesting, that if NPA status is stopped somehow, they can get funding from different sources. In the 7th February 2020, RBI in monetary policy, they gave some breather, which probably last because of this new restructuring scheme. What RBI said at that point of time, that date of commencement of commercial operation can be extended 1 more year. Normally, the DCCO used to get extended by 1 year. Over and above, for the real estate projects only, they extended for 1 more year. It means whatever the payment was to start after the commencement date given in the project, when they received the project, it was shifted by 1 year. Then all principal and other payment were shifted for 1 year. But what about additional funding? Because it was because of mismatches when project delayed, the loss of cost overrun happens. But then additional funding was required. That was one part. But though RBI gave 1 year window in February 20, but additional funding did not be arranged because the lenders were not inclined. The buyers were mostly not booking the under construction project because the last 2-3 years this trend had changed. They want to go to the ready to move property. And this particular scheme which has come, as Mr. Satish mentioned, it is only for the COVID. It is applicable for every sector, and that's a very great scheme which RBI has brought. I must agree what Mr. Bansal has said, but this defines only those projects which were standard on 1st March. If the project would have been extended on 1st March, the scheme is definitely very great. So now this is what probably they could have considered at least SMA 2. That is those accounts which are in 61 to 90, because February 20 circular gave some breather, and this 6190 they would have covered as they covered in moratorium scheme, while they should have given some breather to them. Second most important thing Mr. Arun had just asked, I will try to reply, because the larger funding is from the HFCs and NBFCs. And if they restructure these loans, which are extended on 1st March, they will definitely get away from the tag of the NPA. But they will have to provide 10% for that. Do they have wherewithal and they have the capacity to provide 10%? Probably in banking sector is also stressed. What to think of HFC and NBFC? Second, the 5,000 crore rupees window given by RBI to for HFCs and 5,000 crore given to NABARD for the NBFCs, that may not be sufficient to take care of this large pool of the real estate, where additional funding will also be required as a part of restructuring. Merely rescheduling the term loan, postponing the installment, reducing some interest, that will not serve the purpose unless you provide some funding. Though both the initiative of RBI of February 20, this new restructuring, and the Government of India initiative of Swami Fund, they are complementary to each other. But I think real estate needs something more than that, what is being done.
Mr. Magar, I would like you to respond at this point of time.
Yeah, so I totally agree to that, because there were many disruptions which came, many structural changes which came, which has gone to this. We are time and again saying that all those projects which have stuck for the issues of liquidity, and more so which came with the NBFC, and I totally agree that HFCs and NBFCs are the major funding to the real estate. If we can give that breather there, if the government and the RBI can come up with a solution, what will happen in this? The flat buyer whose money is stuck now, he's only going to pay at the time of possession. He's not going to pay now, because he wants a mechanism to devise where the work will complete. So that money will come in. The banks or the NBFCs and the HFCs whose money is stuck will come in. And same will happen to the developer, who can at the last give him priority number 3, but let these projects get completed in the wider interest. I can give you a very simple, my business experience. This thing that if a flat owner does not pay money, what do? I either try and charge him interest or give him some waiver, give him some time so that the sale is completed. In these times, I don't cancel his agreement and tell him to go from there or pay him back. It is the same thing. Even if the banks get into trouble, from where do I pay the money? The money will come from the project itself. And if things need to be sorted out, we have to work out on the solution. I know that we are asking for too much at this time of COVID and putting the older blame also, but we have to look at the history and see that the entire financial system gets rejuvenated again.
Can I come in here?
Yeah.
Now, the government announced for the MSME sector a fund of funds worth 1,50,000 crore. Now, this fund of funds is supposed to inject equity into these MSMEs. Right now, when hardly any fresh revenue is coming in, companies are not in a position to really service loans, or to take fresh loans purely to service past loans, and then being burdened with the requirement to service these new loans. So the ideal form in which they should get fresh capital is actually equity. Now, we have this examples from the past around the world. During the great global financial crisis, the US government took over Chrysler, General Motors, some banks, allowed them to get back on their feet. And once they started doing well in the market, they sold their equity and made a profit. So everybody was better. So why can't we think of something like this for the real estate sector itself? You should provide equity. And now the problem here is that there will be valuations will have to be formalized. That valuations might not fully suit the real estate developers or their companies. You got to take a haircut on the valuation to make these projects actually viable. Instead of giving a discount from your rack rate, you will probably have to lower the valuation and then come up with fresh price for your property, which might be you might be able to sell in the market. And then you'll be able to get capital which you don't have to service immediately. Why doesn't the industry think on these lines?
Right. Shall we get Mr. Bansal to comment on this first? the fund of funds, actually, Arun's right. When you, for MSME, somebody can stick their neck out and say, "I'll get it." About the real estate sector, because it is an economic indicator sector. You have to pull it out of the mess that it is in today.
I agree. I think real estate sector is one of the most important sectors for the country from employment perspective as well as from the demand perspective for number of industries, especially steel, cement, and even otherwise hardware. I mean, a lot of things. And labor is deployed, I think, maximum in real estate only, if you really look at that. The issue is this fund of fund anyway, that was a concept, is still yet to pick up for even SME. But the providing equity, I think our government or RBI has not reached that stage at all in any of the segments. Today, I mean, even when government launched a fund called Swami, and there also it has not picked up that fast, partly because the fund says that the existing exposure of the banks and NBFC have to be subordinate to these type of loans. Unfortunately, many projects are at that level that the cost of construction and the receivable from the flat buyers or owners may be almost equal. So there is not much money left for the existing lenders if a new loan comes, priorities, and which is, let us say, giving a loan and to complete the project till the time you complete it, there may not be much money left. But even otherwise, because of the valuation issues and because of the provisioning issues, many of NBFCs and banks have not agreed to give that type of priority charge to this fund. And that fund anyway, but the other issue is the fund has a lot of restrictions. And many projects which are stuck up today, whether it is in Mumbai region or even in Gurgaon, they are actually crossing that limit. Like say for Mumbai, it is something like 1.5 crore type or 2 crore type maximum. But the lot of inventory which is lying in Mumbai actually is in Lower Parel, Prabhadevi, Worli, these type of areas where the cost of one flat could be as high as 5 to 10 crore. So those, they don't fall into this category. So actually, if you see the restructuring we are discussing, but more than restructuring, real estate projects, actually most of them need funding. And today, because the problem after ILFS in NBFC, banks are not lending to NBFCs, and then NBFCs are not able to lend to real estate also. So many projects are stuck up because of that. And at least 25-30% have reached a stage where the developer has no interest left because he doesn't have left any equity left in that project. So that will be very difficult to fund. But I agree that if government can provide, like I understand HDFC and SBI are going to launch a fund soon, whereby they will take over the entire project and which will provide something like about 15,000 crore to real estate. So that will help. But we need more such funds actually, because a lot of projects are stuck up because they need construction finance. And today the problem is the construction finance.
Mr. Magar, please respond to that, because what Arun raised, the point that Arun raised is that if equity comes in, valuations today have to drop for that equity to come at today's valuations. Once the valuations rise, then of course it's a win-win situation for both parties.
See, today everyone is looking at the bailout. Bailout not by giving subsidy or by giving grant, but by giving time and additional capital to complete the projects and move out of that. Because all said and done, the developer's stake is also there. His reputation is at stake. His land is at stake. Everything is at stake. It is not that he's taken out everything. So all these financial viable projects, yes, equity can come where the companies are structured, where it is a company. But there are so many LLPs, there are so many partnerships. We have very varied systems. So we'll have to create a mixed basket of many options, that which will fit in which. So because Swami Fund, same thing happened. In Swami Fund, because of the restrictions, it has not become so popular. But if you take it, case by case, and the financial institutions who are the first primary lenders are work at it at open minds. See, everyone needs to take a haircut. We will take a haircut. We don't mind taking a haircut. But the loans which are at 18%, 16%, they also need to be looked into to see that the customer moves out first. The interest is that the customer gets satisfied and moves out first. And the second is the financial institutions because they have to survive. And the third priority is to us because if these two survive, we survive. So we'll have to look at a mixed basket and not as a one-stop solution for everything.
Mr. Tripathi, what we've noticed is that even when the lenders are very reticent to lend to this industry, there is money required. Even when rates are dropped, the RBI cuts repo rates. They don't mind keeping it as in the RBI funds rather than lend it to the industry because there is a fear. And even when the RBI indicates that you can lend to this industry, the banker on the ground is not willing to take that risk. And the risk perception of this industry has been very high. Do you agree? And what is the way forward as a lender?
I do agree with what you say. There is a heightened risk aversion on the part of lender. It has not evolved over a day or two. It has been coming from last several years because you have seen that most of the public sector banks, they have been in the problem from last 4 or 5 years for one or another reason. And unless they are sure that any decision taken by them is not going to be questioned, or not, forget about questioning by various bodies that government is reassuring, but it has to come on ground. What I personally believe that all my panelists which have said, any sort of regulatory dispensation for a long time cannot help any sector. It is the money, liquidity, capital that can only help for revival of a sector. I think everybody is on the same page on that. So now here another problem which you are foreseeing, when the project are stuck up under construction stage, even the next funding the lenders are not doing because they do not know when the labor will come back, when the construction will start. So the builders are in a typical situation. Laborers are not coming back. Next funding they are not getting. The housing loan, those who have booked, they are not releasing their next installment because the various stages which are planned by the builder, they are not being completed. The entire things are boiling down on the liquidity only. How it is possible? You see, in the restructuring scheme itself, the RBI have very thoughtfully done that there will be a committee, Mr. K.V. Kamath and other persons, to evaluate, and they will decide the various benchmark and parameters, and then lending will happen. And then the restructuring will happen. That is what one thing. One thing Mr. Bansal also referred, when there are many lenders, to bring them on same page is also very difficult. So what is possible for the viable, the develop these projects of developers, if there should be a various committees for different cities are made, where the developer body representative be there, some financial expert be there, some third person be there, and they decide what is to be given, and not in a 6-month time frame. Because if you allow 6-month time to go, another liquidity problem will come. So if quickly something is decided, and once it is decided, the viability is proved, what equity has to come, what the loan has to come, then lender has to be given mandate that they should do. They will not be responsible. Probably the government has to come into this. Government has been making a lot of effort to revive the sector. But unless you bring some sort of such mechanism, even if restructuring takes place and additional funding is required, I have my own doubt the funding will come. And then again, it will go for a toss. So it is not regulator who can help. Regulator can give some time when sector is distressed. It is what some body has to be created to give reassurance to lender that if you are funding, the project will be properly monitored and project will take place. Another problem which you are going to foresee, I think Satish will agree with me, the new launches has been dropping very drastically. Whether you reduce repo rate or something like that, housing loan bankers are doing. Everybody is busy in doing housing loan. Housing loan is not an issue. But once the new launches will not happen, after 2-3 years, you will not have the project which buyers are looking for ready to move projects, where you will lend, where they will buy. Then again, you will another coming syndrome. Today, you are sitting on the high inventory. After a few years, you will be sitting on the low inventory. So that is also another dimension is going to happen. And real estate is one sector, what Mr. Bansal explained. It is an, you can say, the fountainhead for the economy, I tell you. And it needs to be revived, whatever is to be done.
Arun, I want to comment on one thing. That when we look at the disbursals that have happened, the restructuring that happened in 2010 to 2014, there were several problems on the ground. It was not the most successful of exercises. Comment on that and put the question to the panelists, please.
See, after the 2009 financial crisis, the government and the RBI took a conscious decision to allow liberal flow of credit. So that was the prime concern, that the economy should not tank. And in that goal, they met with success. India was one of the most resilient economies after the global financial crisis. We didn't have much of a slowdown. In fact, immediately after the crisis years, our growth picked up. But because of this easy flow of credit, without really looking at the viability of the projects and the prospects of these companies being able to service their loans, those loans ran into problems. Those are reality. Now, let us look at the current picture. Today, you find a whole lot of retail investors flooding into the equity market, directly or through mutual funds. SEBI chairman recently even complained at the imprudent behavior of our investors, where they are rushing to the equity market directly. Now, bank fixed deposit rates, which is the most familiar form of saving for the majority of the Indian middle class, has ceased to be a viable option because the interest rates have plummeted. Then people switch to investing in mutual funds. But debt mutual funds or equity mutual funds, these guys started letting money to promoter holding companies, which turned out to be shady, and many of them they just couldn't take the hit taken by these borrowers when they collapsed. Franklin, as you know, even had to suspend 6 schemes. So in desperation, they are actually going to the equity market. Now, this is a time actually for the country to develop a viable bond market. Now, everybody was saying we need capital. Why can't the real estate sector raise capital directly from the bond market, directly from retail investors? Now, as all of us have agreed, it's a mixed bag. There are credible companies with credible promoters who haven't done much financial, misdoing. Their books are reasonably clean. They are just stuck for liquidity. There are projects which are stuck because their source of funding, the NBFCs, suddenly folded up or they couldn't get funds and they are no longer able to get money, and so they have stalled. All these companies which are fundamentally sound, where the project valuations can be brought down or are reasonable, or which are stuck purely because we have a liquidity problem in the system and that is turning into an insolvency problem for the real estate sector. Such companies be segregated? I'm sure CREDAI can play a role in this because they understand the sector, they understand the different kinds of players and their financial health much better than others can. If they can create a pool of such potentially viable projects, and the government can be persuaded to extend their credit guarantee for the bond fund guarantee that they have been talking about from the last budget, and they can guarantee the bonds issued by these at least 50%. I'm sure these bonds will find takers among retail investors who are desperate for a reasonable return on their sale. They are looking for some instrument where they can put their money in. So, can't the industry think of something on these lines?
Mr. Magar, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I mean, this is an option, see, what is happening is today, you don't need a long-term treatment to get okay. You need a chemotherapy to just kill the cells. So how do this fit? This is a very good option. Yes, this is going to happen over a period of time, but for that the government has to be proactive. Today the government needs to come one step forward, and yes, we can segregate such projects out, and they can move on because the liquidity crisis need to be handled. But today's need is to come out of these problems, and to come out of these problems, we need solutions which are immediate. And these immediate solutions we feel very strongly can come by this method of restructuring, where it's a win-win situation for all. Yes, provisioning will have to be done, but at least the money comes out. Otherwise, it just being MP or NP, and it's getting into a worse problem. So immediate solution and then a long-term strategy. These are the two things which we need to look into, and we have to create a basket because every situation is different. Every project is different. Every developer is different. evaluation can be done. We are ready to do it. We have been collecting data on this, but today the situation is very bad. Everyone is stuck. We need to come out of this quicksand as fast as possible.
Mr. Bansal, I'll just refer to what the UP RERA did when it did the audit of the projects in Noida, Greater Noida, Lucknow, Yamuna Expressway, and all that. About 25% of the projects, according to them, were what could go on. There was no problem, and it would go through to completion. Another 50% was cash flow positive, but was stressed because of various reasons. But because it was cash flow positive, there was excess land, there was excess inventory. They were in a positive, and with a little bit of last mile funding, they could come out of it. And the remaining, only about 25% of the projects where there was serious problems which needed to be addressed. Now, if, like Mr. Martha said, we need a bouquet of services which can tend to this entire market. What is your view on this for the real estate sector?
See, I think as Mr. Magar also said, overall, if we really look at it, real estate sector itself actually is a combination of so many types of things. So there are many, when you look at the exposure of real estate of the entire financial sector, banking sector also has exposure, but many of those are like say lease rental discounting or commercial real estate, and also housing loan. So that itself is the largest segment of real estate exposure, but they are comparatively safe. What actually we are talking about is mostly stress projects or incomplete projects, and mainly they were financed by mainly by HFC and NBFCs. So there is a stress asset fund category also, or even real estate fund, not stress, even the working, but they also prefer normally to own commercial real estate from rental yield. Even these projects, I think we have to, as you rightly said, we have to analyze these projects, and Mr. Magar also said, see, there are projects which just need a last mile funding. Okay, so that is one category. There is a second category where the construction has reached only 20-30%. So, and this is the problem area, I think, maximum. There is a third category where only land is there. So I think that is the last category where we have to see. And fourth is the complete project, which is just not selling. So I think each part needs a different type of solution. A Swami type fund can help in the last mile funding, but that's as of now, the use is very restricted. So as I said, HDFC and SBI, I think together are maybe trying to launch another fund, which will take care of the other projects other than which can be covered under Swami. There are people who are ready to fund last mile funding, which can be mostly funds, or some of the NBFCs also, like say even at our level, our group level, we have launched a fund which can help in completing the projects. The problem is actually either where there is only land or where there is only 20-30% construction. I think that is the segment which is facing the maximum issue.
Would you also like to comment?
Government has to help there perhaps.
I'd like to comment on the issue that Arun raised, that this is the right time to start a robust bonds market. Haven't had here.
Bond market, I agree with Mr. Arun, but I mean, as our country has not been able to develop the bond market even for the, double A or A category. And talking of bond market for today for real estate projects, I find it can happen only after, as Mr. Magar said, only after 5-10 years. I don't think bond market for real estate, that too for a stress sector at this point of time, no. But today, if let us say some company like DLF wants to raise bond market, money from the bond market, it will be available. So it's again a question of rating and the reputation also.
Mr. Tripathi, I'm going to talk about one of the things that you was mentioned in passing. Even in retail loans, the consumers where you have given retail loans, suddenly the bankers have stopped lending to a lot of projects. If even that kickstarts, the projects can go on, and with RERA in place, with there are mechanisms, regulatory mechanisms in place. The lenders still seem to be holding back. The lenders are not parting with the money. Do you agree?
No, Jesse, it is not like that. Wherever the project are stuck up for various reasons, obviously lenders will not release the next installment, or they will not sanction the housing loan in that project. The point here comes what Mr. Bansal has also explained, and Arun also explained, and I think Makar was also telling that various stages are there. You mentioned that when UP RERA got the study, the project which are at the almost completion stage, no banker is holding back; they are lending it. Point is that the moment project start construction, which has been held up because of various reasons, the bankers will love to give. Housing loan is now in a very most sought for market these days for the public sector banker and private sector banker, including HFCs. They are running for that madly, but they will not lend in a project which is stuck up because of non-construction. So they do not have the security for that. Here actually either some funding is required, liquidity is required, something is required, so project has to start. Another point, what Mr. Bansal mentioned about 20-30% where project has been done. If the last mile funding, that is not possible because 20-30 is not last mile funding, it is a full mile funding, I can say. Here probably I think Satish and his body can help. If some big builders and others can go and contribute and take over the shares, or some fund can take over the shares, then it can start functioning. Third thing, these stuck-up projects which have been doing very well till March and stuck up, they do not require a huge funding. They require some sort of funding to start. Here, I think somewhere the government should come. I provide some partial guarantee to the bankers. You start lending, and once the ball set in motion and a home loan start getting disbursed, the situation will become normal. The only point again comes with HDFC chairman Deepak Parikh used to tell, so when the project has a tag of NPA, no lender will come. So unless the tag of NPA goes away, it will not happen. Now coming to the present restructuring scheme, December 20 is the invocation date. August moratorium is getting over. Even those projects which were not NPA, by the time the project cost is 100 crore rupees and above, you will require a rating evaluation. You will require, if the many lenders are there, you will require a lot of ICA agreement has to take place. And if it takes 3-4 months time, the project will become NPA in that period of time. Only when the invocation date, if the account becomes NPA and implementation date happens, then account will be upgraded. But between the invocation date and August 2020 afterwards, what will happen? Many projects might come into NPA. Another point which I am trying to say, 2 years period for the real estate looks, though RBI can't give 5 years period, but 2 years period for the real estate projects for the fresh funding to come is difficult. I think if the regulator can divide between these two things, the fresh funding can take its own viability and own time, and the earlier funding will have only 2 years extension. Probably some sort of SOP is given in the restructuring scheme, that might be helpful. I am fully aware that lenders are ready to give home loan, provided they see there is a light in the tunnel.
I have one point to say in this. In today's situation, after the work has started post-COVID, the disbursement of housing loans is a big issue. The financial companies, institutes, the banks are extremely averse of giving loans. They're asking for all sorts of documents from the the flat purchaser. Even construction finance disbursement is very stressful now. So what is going to happen is, if all this, everyone is going to be cautious. These projects which are not under NPA, who are doing well, who have got all the wherewithals, are also going to running towards that situation now.
I will answer to Satish to you. This is a fact what you have told, but it's a partial fact. What happened when the COVID started, and a lot many people, they lost their job, their salary cut happened. Then the lenders are, why they're asking, they are trying to evaluate the person whom we are going to give loan, whether the cash flow is available or not. Giving a loan today to a person whose cash flow is not available, making account NPA after 3 months. I am a lender. I am telling you, in July and June itself, I have done 75% what I did last year. But I have also given instruction that you have to ensure that there is a cash flow impact was not there. So this is situation. This is directly in relationship with the economic position today and how the demand revives. It is not, if you expect that lender will disburse a loan to a person whose job is lost, then one problem will shift to the lender. So again, we have to understand each other's concern. So wherever the cash flow is not starved, I understand the HDFC disbursed 6,000 crore last month. I understand. I'm not sure whether the number is correct, but I understand there's a huge disbursement. The bankers are also changing, but they are evaluating the present availability of cash flow of the borrower, which is the prime source of the assessment along the property. That we need to understand.
Can I
Arun,
get-
yeah,
yeah.
please.
Yeah. So clearly, we have a situation where one segment of the industry can go ahead and complete their projects if they avoid the NPA tag and thus qualify to get some fresh funding from various sources. Second set of projects which cannot avoid an NPA tag because they are in a very bad position and they will not get fresh funding given the level of completion or progress they have made in their projects. And there are some which are just possibly land and hardly qualify as projects that have gone anywhere. Now, what everybody requires is fresh dose of funding. Let's understand that in this country where urban growth is supposed to take place at a very rapid pace, if India is to prosper, that prosperity has to come not from agriculture and the rural sector, but from industry and services. And these grow in towns. So towns basically means real estate. You need to actually build lots of office space, residential accommodation where people who work in these offices will stay. And ultimately, this is real estate. So real estate is something the economy requires and has to be financed. But we don't have a proper system of financing real estate, and they depend upon some formal HFCs and NBFCs, and the rest is all short-term money rollover for 3 years for projects that are 7 to 10 years, from land acquisition to completion, handover to the company. Now, this a structural issue of how to create a financing, viable financing for the real estate sector has to be solved. But apart from that, right now, if those companies which are reasonably in a good shape to complete their projects, if they get some money, they'll get it. But what is the corporate structure in which they'll get money, or the other companies which are only 30% complete, how will they get their money? So this is where you need to think of, corporatizing companies which are not corporatized, so that capital can come in. You need to think of pooling the viable projects so that some large investors, such as say the Employees Provident Fund or the National Pension System, which are sitting on huge pools of funds and are earning very low rates of return on their capital for the pensioners, they can actually deploy the funds. So there has to be some reasonable assurance. And the government has set up a corporation for the specific purpose of guaranteeing bonds in order to promote a bond market. And real estate is something that the economy needs and will be built and has to be built. There is no reason why the government cannot guarantee some of the better projects so that large pools of savings such as the National Pension System and the Employees Provident Fund, there's no reason why they cannot allocate some of the capital in the sector. But somebody will have to ensure that these are the projects in which they invest are viable and they are categorized as viable, given a credit rating, and there is some kind of guarantee from the government's credit guarantee corporation. I think it is possible to induct capital into this, provided some of these steps are taken. I think the financiers whose money is at stake in these stalled real estate projects, as well as the real estate sector industry itself, if they get together and formulate a plan, I'm sure the government will back them up.
Mr. Bansal?
Yeah, I agree with Mr. Arun in that sense. So same thing which I was mentioning, we have to differentiate the different projects. So there are projects which, as he is explaining, they have viability and they are huge projects even for, let's say, affordable housing type, where somebody can provide equity also. But structuring of the entire real estate industry has to change. Many governments also charge, I think, heavily from the real estate sector. That also has to be reduced. Even let's say city like Mumbai, perhaps 30-40% goes to only government. So your cost has to be reduced. But there are some projects which are stuck up, and I think which people have to agree, including financiers and real estate developer. Maybe if he is not able to do, find a new developer. Otherwise, take a haircut and sell it. We have tried that in IBC also as lenders, but somehow IBC is also not worked that well in real estate sector because of a lot of issues with flat buyers and all. So I think it has to be a mix of everything. there are good developers. They can raise money even from bond. They can even raise equity from the. There are a lot of funds available from overseas also, though their yield expectation is high. So if we can create some sort of that fund, whereas Mr. Arun said the money can come from long-term investors like PF and pension funds, and their yield expectation would be lower. See, if you see as a group, we have done recently Bharat Bond. I mean, we have seen so much inflow in that. Why? Because one, the bonds are issued by almost AAA type PSUs, and it's a safe product. It provides liquidity also. But same money when mutual funds started doing credit fund, which as Mr. Arun mentioned in the beginning, I think that money investors are not comfortable today. So if they get liquidity as well as safety, I think they will be very happy to invest money, even the normal public. But so you have to divide this, and we have to take a haircut wherever it is required. If I request, like say RBI would have allowed even SMA 1 and 2 projects for restructuring, I think that would have helped. 10% provisioning, I think lenders may not mind, instead of avoiding and instead of making it NPA, then not able to do anything. It is far better to do a restructuring and take 10% provisioning hit. I thought there are solutions, but it needs a different approach. As of now, I don't find that, I mean, a overall consolidated approach for the entire sector.
Mr. Magar, you want to respond?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you have to categorize. You have to take case by case, as everyone has been saying on the panel, that we need to have a mixed bag solution, a bouquet of various. In fact, it has to be a menu which goes all across the board. And yes, those who have done financial irregularities, they should be punished. We are not for them. But because of this liquidity crisis, wherever there are products which are being stuck up, this SMA 1 and 2 needs to be bought in, so that instead of nothing happening, at least things will become much smoother in times to come.
Mr. Tripathi?
What Mr. Arun has said, this is a wonderful suggestion. I think all of have agreed. It is very clear that some project require short-term solution and the long-term solution industry requires. Present, the unlocking of the wealth, which is in a stuck-up project, is there. That is a priority which will revive the economy and employment on a very faster scale. And if the government of India, the way they have provided emergency credit line for the SME, not to that extent of 3 lakhs crore, I can say, 25,000 crore Swami Fund will take care of the stuck-up project. Those projects which can be revived with a small fund. If there are some guarantees given to the bankers and they can lend to those projects, even if the tag of NPA is there or something is there, only RBI has to declare that even account is NPA, the fresh funding that is already process is there. Fresh funding will not be treated as NPA. So these projects, when they come into the line, the cycle will start moving. That is one point. Second thing, another very important point, which Satish will agree, entire supply is only 10% from the top builders. I may not be having the correct number, but entire supply is only 10% from the top builders. The major supply in the low income affordable comes 90% from the informal builder. We don't know them. They don't need anything. They don't require any support. Only mid type of project like a 50 lakh rupees, 101 crore rupees type of the houses, those builders are making that a middle class builder, they are in the larger class. And if big builders don't require your support, they are on their own, they are competent enough to manage the funds, they are competent enough to run the show very perfectly. The whole lot is required to the mid type of project, which might require 200 crore, 300 crore, 100 crore rupees. To revive those projects, the home buyers will get their home, which they are waiting since long, and the economy will also improve. So I fully agree with Arun that presently we require a solution for next 2-3 years, and then the long-term solution can take its own time. And the real estate sector, which was completely unregulated, going haywire prior to RERA, now it has come on the line. All the real estate developers, they have appreciated RERA, they have adopted it. So now when the industry is reforming, I think the government, the regulator, all stakeholders should come to help industry to reform and get the economy to revive.
And actually, this is a sector that works on sentiment. A lot of the purchase happens because of positive sentiment. Like you said, the regulator coming in was a big deal for a lot of buyers. You need to see action on the ground. You need to see the last mile funding coming. You need to see cranes moving. You need to see projects getting through to completion. But that is something that it's still tardy and very slow. Even announcements take roughly about 6 months before money is disbursed. And you find that by that time, many more have gone into NPAs. Arun, you want to make a closing remark, please?
Yeah, so this is to repeat, this is a very vital sector which will drive growth in many other sectors of the economy, including jobs. So getting it back on the rails is important for the economy, not only for the sector. And this can be done relatively easily for one segment of the industry, which is only suffering a liquidity problem. So if they can avoid the tag of an NPA, it will be easy for them to raise liquidity. For the other segments of the industry, they will need some more radical steps, such as corporatizing themselves and creating structures that can attract long-term capital as equity or as debt from various sources, which also can be improvised to the mutual profit of both the investor as well as the industry. And this possibility exists, and for it to materialize, industry and the government have to be proactive in making these solutions work. And I think it can be done. There's no reason why we should allow this industry to go to the north. It's something that everybody needs.
Mr. Magar, we need the takeaways are clearly that there are different kinds of projects. They need to be bucketed differently. They need to be addressed differently. Their needs are different. Is the industry thinking on those terms?
Yes, the industry is thinking on this. There is a lot of change which has happened in the past couple of years. We have brought in a regulator by the way of RERA, which has structured the industry. And now, it's a child growing, becoming healthier, and we are just cutting them off their nourishment. I think they need that additional nourishment to grow. And yes, it does employ, it's the second largest employer. It just, the whole GDP, everything depends, the economic indices depends on it. The GDP is totally dependent on it. What it needs is that booster dose, which we can say, which can make it move forward for a longer period of time.
And Mr. Tripathi, how can the booster dose come? Will lenders, is the situation conducive for lenders to give that booster dose to this industry, at least parts of this industry, ones that are viable?
I will take a minute in this. Agriculture is the largest employer, but though the 65% population lives there, but it is not like that everybody is living. Most of the children are outside from there. Construction sector and real estate sector is the second largest employer. Government of India's full attention is there on agriculture. That has to be there because they are very low income people. But real estate sector also feeds to many sectors. Therefore, I think second priority of the government should be the real estate sector revival. As Mr. Satish has mentioned, now all reforms are accepted. The sector is growing. So it should be not clubbed with the other sectors, but like agriculture sector, textile sector, real estate sector should be seen separately for the nurturing, for the nursing, and for making it to a great employment creator for the country. That is what governments have to look from that angle.
Right. And like Ramesh Somisetti has said here, a cap on processing fees, low margin on ref rate, less documentation, and quick relief is the need of the hour. The basic need of the hour is speed. And if you don't bring speed into this thing, many more companies will actually not be operational. So thank you so much for joining me. This is an issue that we will be picking up regularly. Thank you, Arun, for leading the conversation, giving it a direction. And Mr. Magar and Mr. Tripathi, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.